There's a way to do it, and then there's a way to do it better, and that's what we certainly do.
4, 3, 2, 1.
I want to thank you for joining us today and welcome you into Ready, Set, Grow Strategies, the Impact branded podcast to help you grow your practice. My name is Chris Swan. I'm one of the radio producers here at the Impact Partnership. This is Michael Poirot, one of the advisor chief marketing officers. Michael, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So advisors, whether they work with the Impact Partnership or they don't, a lot of the ways that they generate business is through dinner seminars. That's what we're going to talk about here, is the process, getting to, through, and what happens after the fact. And, you know, when we meet with advisors, meet with them for the first time, they're coming in for various events. That's what they say. They say that they maybe are doing media, maybe they're doing these seminars. I really want to fine tune this because there's a way to do it, and then there's a way to do it better. And that's what we certainly do. Mistakes that advisors make initially.
It's a lot of them, but they're all open to coaching, which is great.
Yeah.
One of the biggest mistakes I see is on the direct mail list side.
Okay.
All right. They're getting what they get because there's a lot of high terminology in there that people don't understand, and they just tell the direct mail company, you guys are the experts, you do it for me. And what happens then is that you're getting people that you can't do business with get mail. They're too far away, they're too low in assets, they're not qualified, but the registration numbers look great. So you need to dial that in with a very core audience and then build from there. And not enough people have the know-how on all the terminology that's in there to basically go round and round with the direct mail list company to fine-tune that to get the perfect list.
So it's not just about the quantity. Obviously, having seats there, people present there is important. But if they don't qualify, then you're buying them dinner, which, okay, sure, but it's not really going to, there's no ROI on that.
No.
Great example, you know, my 25th birthday, I got something from AARP in the mail for me. I don't know if that was a prank. I don't know if that was a mistake on their part, but obviously I'm not the right audience. We want to make sure that doesn't happen. We want to make sure that the people that come in are of quality, right? And so how do you discern that? Because these venues, even if you get the full restaurant or what have you, it's still a limited seating. You want to make sure that the people that are in there are the right people in there. Is there a vetting process before the mailer even goes out?
Sure. It's definitely before the mailer goes out, the age, income, qualifications, all that stuff in there. But one of the things I tell my advisors to do is don't put everybody on the registration list.
Okay.
Put them all on the wait list. And then have your office call them, confirming that they're quality people, and then you move them to a registration.
Okay.
So it gives you the power to get in there, interact with people, make sure they're there for the right reasons. What have you done for retirement is a great question for qualification questions, and let them talk about it. You know, what about the event are you looking to get out of this event? And you know, sometimes, yes, we're going to move you over here. Sometimes it doesn't sound like this is the event that's right for you because we're looking for people who are specifically in this section of people that we can help. You know, this is not where you are. We'd love to put you on a newsletter, come in later, you know, maybe as you grow towards that situation, but going directly to a wait list and then having your staff move them over to a registration list is a really great strategy to make sure you get quality at the event.
What if someone comes in with questions? Because I know these seminars cover a wide variety of topics, whether it is, you know, specifically about taxes, or I know we have advisors that do, you know, Medicare seminars, especially during the annual election period, things like that, Social Security, all these different factors. What if the questions that the prospective client has aren't necessarily the subject of that seminar? Do you maybe waitlist them for a subsequent one, or?
Sure, I wouldn't be afraid if they're a quality person. You can maybe go right to the appointment at that point. If they have some very specific questions, yes, you can come in for the event, but why don't we get you right on the calendar now? Because our calendar is going to book up really fast after we do the event.
A skip the line
sort of. Yeah, a skip the line mentality. Come on in.
Okay.
So it's not a bad idea to just jump right into that opportunity.
So I don't know how to gingerly go about this. Working in radio and, you know, giving out prizes and things on the air, we had what we called, I'll put it nicely, frequent flyers, people who just, whatever it was, they wanted to be there. There are people out there who, you know, they see, oh, it's a dinner at this venue and it's, you know, it's complimentary. I'll do the seminar or whatever, and then that is it. Is there a way to not eliminate that entirely, but to minimize? Is that what the setting the appointment process is kind of about?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. So through the appointment process, you're going to want to make sure that you move them through the process at a very fast rate.
Mhm.
All right. So one thing that we talk about during the pre-seminar process is creating that relationship with them. So having a relationship built from a single point of contact all the way through from their registration, from their wait list to their registration to showing up at the event.
Mhm.
We find that having that one person get to know them, and that's the person they shake hands with when they walk into the room,
Perfect.
gets them into the room with the right reason for the right expectations and have someone be their buddy
Okay.
throughout that.
No, that makes a lot of sense, and we'll talk about the during process in a subsequent episode. But as far as the timing of it, these events, people are very busy. They're running around. They're doing X, Y, and Z. How far out should you send a mailer out, or should you inform someone that you've got an event going on?
Sure. Traditionally, the higher income people plan their calendars out farther.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the more money you have, the more advanced planning I'm doing on my day and my life and traveling for vacations and cruises and seeing kids and doing stuff and plus work as well too.
Sure.
So having the mailer hit, 14 days or 10 to 14 days before the event
Okay.
is pretty standard. I like being a little bit on the 14 to, 20
Okay.
days.
Yeah.
Right now, what you're seeing in an election year, the mail is taking forever. So if you talk to somebody and you try to send a test mailer to yourself, how long does it take from drop to your house?
Mm-hmm.
It's an election year. You need to adjust for something like that because it's going to be a lot longer. And you're going to find a lot of people complaining that my mail is hitting 3 to 4 days before the event happens. And it's going to be
Not enough
panicking.
time, yeah.
And it's not enough time. And you're not going to get enough people there. So you have to be strategic in terms of knowing what the trends are in terms of the mail drop date and the mail hit date. And we monitor that all the time.
I was worried that you were going to say something like 2 to 3 months. I was like, I don't know if that might be a little too much. The mailer, and you mentioned test mailers. Is that something that you regularly? What is the advantage of doing a test mailer versus seeing the proof ahead of time?
Doing test mailers, that was more about the timing of it.
Okay.
But if we're talking what's unique in mailer design, if I could dip into that real quick, is that there is a lot of advisors who have built great companies, right? I've got an advisor that has me, a sub-advisor, 3 different staff members and a couple other people as well too. We want to make sure that we highlight that advisor as someone who is in charge of a huge company. Traditional mailers, you can see the picture of the advisor, a bio, picture of a steak, and it's going to be going out the door.
I can visualize it in my head, yeah.
And that's leveling the playing field between somebody who has built a corporation and is working out of his mom's basement. Why would we do that? Why would we not take credit for having the staff, having radio, TV, publications that you worked on, BBB, all these accreditations? I would strip out the bio, add your staff picture where the bio section would be, because they're long, boring. Advisor bios are not the most exciting. Put in the staff, put in the credibility logos, have a personal picture of yourself by the front message on there that says this is who the speaker is, but get credit for being part of a corporation, being the CEO of a business.
Yeah, own it.
Versus a guy who, is just doing it out of his mom's basement. You don't know the difference. Let's set that stage. Let's not level the playing field.
Make yourself stand out because, people, mail will come in and getting them to look at it. If it is just that generic, that kind of sounds like a clip art sort of thing. Here's a steak, here's my headshot, and here's, the name. But if you make it more dynamics, people at least look it over and when it comes to the venue choice, is that something that we help people with as far as finding the right venue that they think is going to target? Or is it more of a seating availability situation, or how do you go about determining that?
I mean, when you pick a venue, you're choosing to put your name with that venue. So the credibility of that restaurant flows to you.
Sure.
So if you want to choose, Golden Corral, just know that you're going to be associated with Golden Corral.
Okay.
And
That
people
makes
do
sense.
it, right? But if you want to be with a Fleming's or Ruth's Chris or Capitol Grill, that's going to be, more associated with you. But you do have to have the venue match the topic, match the audience with the mailing list. And there's a lot of blending of levels here in the thought process of just the setup versus I just want to do a steakhouse.
Yeah.
Why would I do a steakhouse and do a Social Security mailer? Because a Social Security mailer brings in, let's just say, the lowest common denominator.
Okay.
Without a lot of assets. Why would I do a steakhouse to that audience? Why wouldn't I do an RMD, an estate planning, or a higher level topic at a steakhouse versus a Social Security message? It's all got to blend together. And it takes a coach to help advisors understand the nuances to this to help raise that level up.
And it seems like it's a bit more complicated and nuanced than, just buying a mailing list like we were talking about earlier, like so many advisors do ahead of time. So it is an integral part, not just doing the event, not just having the presentation, because, and we'll talk about that, like I said, in future episodes, you can have the best presentation, but if the people aren't there, if the people aren't attending because it's not going to the right people or for whatever reason, then it's all for naught.
Absolutely. And if you find advisors that get frustrated with the process, I did one, it stunk, and I didn't do it again, it's because they weren't engaged enough in the process, in my opinion. They need to be super engaged with the design of the mailer, with the mailing list, with the venue selection, seeing the venue, and working through the process of being coachable. There's so many ways to go astray on that side. And if you just get what you get by saying, hey, direct mail company, what do you recommend for a restaurant? What do you recommend for a direct mail list? I want to mail 7,000 pieces.
Yeah.
How do you know there's 7,000 quality people out there? If you're just going to the direct mail list side of it. I want to mail 10,000. I need to mail 12,000. You need to be mailing to the quality people. And if for some reason you have a smaller market where you can't get 7,000 names, mail twice to 3,500.
Okay.
And hit the quality twice. Use repetition in marketing. There's a reason why I see commercials over and over again and they work.
Because they get stuck in, they become ingrained in your brain, and you go, oh, there is that event going on in a week. I should go ahead and reserve my seat.
Yeah, each marketing touch is pushing your hand just one more step closer to the phone.
It's a reminder, presence of mind. And perhaps even, they get it 3 weeks out, like we said, and they see it and they say, I need to register. Life happens. We all forget things, often. But if another one goes out, then, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to do. Now it's more relevant. Let's talk more about the mailer. We touched on it a little bit there, but because we have in-house, we have our own design staff, our own design team to help with that process. And it isn't a, contacting someone on Fiverr or whatever to design this, but it's actually people who, work here, know your business, know your practice, and can help put your best foot forward. What goes into the design process exactly?
Oh, it's a lot of thought. A lot goes into the direct mail design of it. And the one thing I have to tell my advisors over and over again is you are not the target market.
Okay, yeah.
What you like, it may possibly be completely different from what this person likes over here who's receiving your mailer. And I have seen the prettiest mailers with golds and purples and bolds and nice steak image, not too red, not too dark, just absolutely perfect. And because they didn't know their market. Yeah. They didn't know who they were mailing it to. So when you design the mailer, you need to have almost like a billboard. So in billboard advertising, you look at the billboard, you put it down. What did you retain? So you have to look at it from a client's perspective of, okay, do people clearly understand what I'm getting? Why I would be coming to something like this? And I think one of the common mistakes that advisors will make is that they won't clearly define who this is for, why you should come, what we'll be covering. And they becomes very verbose. And it needs to be shorter, bullet pointed, to the point information to understand that we're covering these topics. They're nice and bold. And anything else you want to talk about, we're happy to talk about as well too.
It's a fine line between having your head on there and your name, and that's it, versus having a 3-page or a 3-paragraph manifesto or thesis. You want to find the right blend there, and that's what we do is knowing these audiences and helping with the appeal to them. I'm reminded of was it American Psycho, where they're going over the business cards, and you don't want the ones that are super too prestigious with the gold and everything, because people might just look at those and go, that's too fancy for me, or you want to make sure that you are hitting the right audience. Do you find that being a challenge, having the advisor understand that you want to appeal to the client and not necessarily just to yourself?
Correct. Yeah, and that's why we have 3 different types of mailer types we work with. We'll work with a postcard, a trifold, a fold over, not a trifold, but a fold over, and then also a wedding style that goes in an envelope. Okay. And again, goes back to topic, location, audience strengths, who they are, and doing different designs for the different mailer types is very strategic. It's very purposeful, done specific ways. Okay.
Now, what about leading up to the event in the days prior to it? Is there anything that people should be doing? Because let's say the mailer's already out, the appointments, the reservations are set. To get ready leading up to the actual seminar, the actual event, is there anything that the advisor should be mindful of, be aware of?
I would say be mindful not to be overly reliant on digital. Yes, we're on a podcast, and yes, this is a digital platform, but there's something to be said for losing the human element of building the relationship. you should be, as the person does the appointment setting and does the confirmation phone calls, they should be taking copious notes.
Okay.
They should be knowing that they've worked at this company for this many years. They should be, and then when you do your follow-ups, you need to incorporate that information back into those conversations. Send somebody, an appointment reminder card. Send them something if you're like, hey, this is one of the things we're talking about here. I'm going to send you a little something.
Okay.
You get them, the more you can get them interacting with your company before, the smoother the process is going to be afterwards.
Again, it keeps that presence of mind and more willing to, anybody meeting someone for the first time, whether it is at an event or it is coming into the office, they're going to have their guard up a little bit. But if they have that familiarity, that they know you, they know that you've taken the time to get to know them, whether it is with subsequent calls or whatever, not lowering their guard, but it certainly does make it a friendlier situation where they're not coming up necessarily, guarded.
What if you don't have somebody in your office that can make those confirmation phone calls? They do that stuff. Impact has a Just Show Up program.
Okay.
So we have something called Impact Call Care, which is a call center that we built ourselves. Built, hosted, American-made. It's awesome. Retired school teachers, people who are just super awesome on the phone. If you like a good Southern accent, we got it for you.
We've got a few of those, yeah.
So if you just want to follow our best practices through our coaching, have the direct mail hit, and then have our call center nurture these people through phone calls, emails, everything that goes along with it, so that when you show up, the room is full of people and you're ready to do your presentation. Just show up strategy.
Yeah.
It's on the table. Why not just pay to make it go away? And it's really not that expensive, and they can do it by per program as well too. But say you got one person in your office who wants to do it, and they're pretty good at it, right? I like the person. I want my office calling them.
Sure.
I want my phone number showing up. Impact Call Care will mail your phone number, by the way. But say you got the one person in your office you want to train up a little bit, and they're doing a good job. We put them in our conversion coaching program, which is talking to Beth Page, who was just the appointment setter. That's all she did, is make sure people came to the office for a $100 million annuity producer on an annual basis. She will work one-on-one with that person to raise them up. She'll secret shop them. She'll train them.
Okay.
She'll do conference calls. She'll give them scripts. She'll talk about how to nuancely call people at the right times when you leave the voicemail. Is it 9, 1, 4:30, and at the 4:30 you leave your voicemail? What do you say on the voicemail and make a call back? How do you be engaging and create that relationship? How do you make sure that we're not giving away something, we're not making it sound like we're begging, but you have an opportunity to learn something great and meet a really cool person? So all that conversion coaching is in there as well too. So you can either just have the Just Show Up program, or we can have the Raise You Up program.
It's whether you have a plan in place and you just want it fine-tuned, or you don't have that plan. It really, what we're doing, what you guys are doing, and what this podcast is for, is to help relieve those pain points that you may come along the way, whether it is with these dinner seminars, whether it is getting people there in the mailer themselves, the actual seminar. What comes after that, we're going to talk about that. I said it a few times now in the subsequent episodes, but if you have these pain points, if there are things that you're not aware of when it comes to setting up your appointments, reach out. We're available. ReadySetGrowStrategies.com is the website. Make sure you follow and subscribe on whatever your podcast medium is of choice, whether it is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you know what they all are. Because subsequent episodes, we're going to talk about what comes. You've got the people there, what happens actually at the appointment, what happens after the appointment, and so much more to come. I want to thank you for taking the time for joining us here on Ready, Set, Grow Strategies. Pyro, appreciate it as always.
Thank you very much.